Well, Paul, thank you for coming on the red carpet round table.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Let's go a little bit about yourself, and the floor is yours.
Sure. Paul Michael O'Connor is my name. I have two companies currently that we run. One is my personal Paul Michael photography and video production company that I don't do much photography anymore, like still photography, but a little bit. Mostly do video production. And we started a new company called Tame Rabbit. The logo's actually up on the screen there on my workstation. We're doing mostly bigger corporate commercial type projects and film projects and things under that umbrella. So I kind of shifted most of that work over there. Me and my partner Tim Booble had started that company for a business, and so we work with Ronnie Hummel quite a bit with casting and also advocacy for film in Texas and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much I've been doing this for 25 plus years. Full time in my business and with Tame Rabbit. Tame Rabbit's about 2 years old now. We just kind of started it up, maybe a year and a half.
Hmm.
But my business I've been doing full time for about 7 years, and then before that, about 25 years total, off and on between other jobs and everything. But finally decided to make it full time and haven't looked back since.
Well, congratulations to you, and shout out to Miss Ronnie Hamill. She's amazing.
Yeah.
What originally drew you into filmmaking and cinematography?
From a young age. So I started playing piano and musical instruments at about age of 6. I started taking piano classically trained, and I used to have my grandfather's old film camera, stills film camera that was all analog with actual film, and took an interest in that from him, and just loved movies from a young age too. So I kind of got drawn into that whole world, especially with audio. Went on to get my audio recording engineer certificate so I could do studio recording and all of that. So it all played out. It all worked out well because now I can combine all that stuff together into film while I'm editing. I'm using music and I'm actually scoring things and, building music tracks and dialogue and everything. So all that came into play. Just, I guess it was just meant to be.
Wow. And then how did you start getting into the industry? Because I know this industry is a fun, but I know you're not an actor, but I'm just going to say a challenging industry. Um, Being on set for many hours and retake and cut and action.
For
Um,
sure.
so maybe you can get into that a little bit. How I don't want to say competition, but the challenging part, tongue twisting, challenging part, being into the entertainment industry and what got you into it. I know I asked you two questions, but the floor is yours.
Sure. No, yeah. No, for sure. Like it is a challenging industry and it's not for the faint of heart, or it's not for people who really don't like have your full heart in it. If you're not fully loving what you're doing on set, being there for that long every day, it can wear you down quick. And I find that a lot. We take on a lot of interns and people either in film school or out of film school or never have went, but they just want to get into the industry. And I'm really big on trying to give back because I've been so blessed. So I always offer whenever somebody approaches me like, "Hey, can I come shadow you? Can I come learn?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." I definitely want to help people learn and get into this industry. And a lot of people view that as competition, but for me, it's not competition because by the time they get to the level I'm at, I'm going to be retired or gone or wherever. So it's not like they're just going to come in and
Hmm.
replace me or take my, work. So I'm not worried about that. I want the future of the filmmaking industry to grow. But going back to the time on set, it is a lot of time. And if you're not loving what you're doing, the clock can just sit there and tick, tick, tick. And you're like,
Hmm.
when is this day going to be over? Just like any job. If you don't love being at your job, you're not gonna want to
You're
be there.
right.
So
So
you
the
really
follow-up
have to love
question
it.
is, I'm sorry to cut you off. The follow-up question is, what when you say being on set so long, um, what is the most difficult moment being on set so long? I know it's like it's not a competition, but I think a lot of people don't take, this is my opinion, I could be wrong. A lot of people don't take credit for the film crew. We don't see behind the scenes. We don't see it. And sometimes we do,
Sure.
thankfully, actors show with their Instagram or social media behind the scenes and all that. But, when we go watch films and maybe you have gone watch film, it's like they don't realize we have to thank the film crew because it
Right.
takes a lot.
No, for
So,
sure.
what was the most challenging uh, part that you have to do when you were filming? Is there any upcoming or past films that you've done that, without giving any spoilers, was there any particular challenging role you had to record or take action of that you can kind of give the description to give up future film or cinematographers out there what it takes to capture a certain angle or role or action or I'm just going to say jumping off a cliff or something like that. I'm just putting
Right,
that out
right.
there. But what does it take to get that perfect action or perfect um, close up or my mind's. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say because
Yeah,
I know a
I think
lot
I
of
got.
actors they say, and maybe you can agree. I know I'm saying a lot, but the question is there. But they have to get used to the camera getting this close to your face, and you're talking, and you're like, "Whoa, the camera's right in your face." So, was there ever a part that you had to like focus, or how do you take that? How do you get that cut?
I think the main thing is that any project I'm on, I've been on so many projects at this point now over the years. There's not any two projects that are really alike. So that every production has its own challenges, and that's pretty much a job of a filmmaker, especially a cinematographer, the director of photography. We work alongside the director, right hand with them, and we are solving problems, trying to figure out how we can make our day because there's always things that fall behind. There's wardrobe or something happens or the props or something are missing or the locations or whatever, something happens, and we have to find a way to get back on track and not rush it too much to cut the quality and that kind of thing. So there's always challenges, and not even just with the shots, but that's a whole different thing. And there's really no one particular shot that's that difficult to get or whatever. There could be the simplest of shots that could just be difficult that day with a combination of maybe the actors struggling with their lines or a certain look or the locations not being cooperative. If we're filming outside, we're having to dodge airplanes, we're having to dodge noises
Mm.
and people if we don't have the location completely locked down. So there's always challenges that you have to face. And so I think that's just the fun of it for me. Is part of that is being in that environment and trying to figure out ways we can get this cool shot that we're trying to
Mm.
get.
And I do see what you're talking about. The airplanes, there's airplanes getting the noise
Always.
away, or, you know, some filmmakers and directors, they said, yes, we want airplane noise. And some like, we don't want it. Some we want this. So
Sure.
I do see where you're coming from. What was the most biggest turning point in your career?
I think we had talked about earlier a little bit, or you mentioned in one of the questions that kind of got mixed together was that how did you get on set and how did you get into this in the
Oh, thank
industry?
you. Sorry.
Yeah, I just thought about it. So I think the biggest thing on that was me finding a mentor, somebody that I could work under and learn. And that's the way I did with photography also.
Hmm.
I found somebody that's been doing it for 10 or 20 years. And they took me under their wing and I got to go shadow them on jobs and kind of see how it was done. And honestly, that is the best way to learn because you're learning on a working environment, seeing how it's really done, not just in a textbook that, oh, it's supposed to be done this way. Because there's a lot of times you can't do it the way it's supposed to be done. You have to find these workarounds we're talking about to solve problems. And being on set with somebody that's got experience and in a working environment, you really learn the best way right there. And I think for me, that was my biggest turning point was when I decided to go into more of the filmmaking side instead of just video for corporate stuff or whatever, or photography.
Hmm.
I really wanted to focus more into getting into film. So I started going get
Into that.
time because I knew, hey, this is going to pay off. I'm going to network, number one. I'm going to meet people. I'm going to be able to show my skills or what I can do. And instantly, within like that first year, it just took off for me on the filmmaking side, which is where I wanted to be.
Wow. Amazing. And now, what is something the audience rarely goes into this creating a scene?
They don't, I think most people that haven't been on set, because we run into this a lot with new actors and it's nothing against them because they haven't experienced this and we have to show them and teach them like this is what you're going to expect every time if you're working on a real set. Is they show up and they think, oh, we're going to do our take and our lines one time and we're done. but we have to run this multiple times, especially if it's a big scene. Now, if it's two people talking, we can get out of it pretty quick. You might do it two or three times, depending on how many takes you need as the actor for your side. But if everything goes smooth, we could get it in possibly three takes, get a two shot with them talking together or the
Mm-hmm.
wide, and then get coverages, and then we're out. But if we have a scene like there's a lot of scenes where there's four or five people talking together or a big group and there's a lot of action going on in the background, there's a lot of coverages we have to get of angles of details and specific things, plus all the dialogue back and forth between people. And there was this one project I'll never forget. These actors come on and we did it. I think it took us like 4 hours to get the scene. It was a four-page scene, so it was a long scene, but there's also like I think there was one, two, three, six people in the scene, and they were all talking to not just to like each other, but one would talk to somebody, then they would talk to somebody else, and for every time we need to really switch angles to get those connections between the actors. So that's just something I think a lot of people don't realize is how long you really will be on set as an actor. Even as a lead role, you're going to be sitting on set a long time, but especially as a bit role or a supporting role, you're going to be there a while.
Right. That's so true. And that's I think that's what a lot of actors don't realize about being on set so long. What's the most memorable moment you've experienced while filming?
Oh man, I think for me at this point, there's been so many, but just if I had to pick one, working with Larry Guterman, he's a director. He's worked with Steven Spielberg a lot. He's done movie. I think he directed Ants, the animated movie. He directed I can't even remember Cats and Dogs, the other
Hmm.
animated movie. He directed Son of the Mask with Jamie Kennedy, the sequel for Mask. But just getting to work with someone of his level as a director, seeing how he prepares, seeing how he likes, to do his shots and how he works on set was just kind of eye-opening to jump into that different realm and to see how somebody of that caliber works. And I'm sure each director at that level has their own, quirks in the way they work, but it was just cool seeing that and working alongside him.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Um, and then what can you tell me that you realize this is what I want to do? This is my career. I want to do. I want to be a filmmaker and a cinematographer. What was the click and what was the moment?
Like when it happened.
Yes.
I think it happened at a very young age. Even before I got into the industry itself, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And that's why I think it came around because I got into the video side, just doing corporate videos and, making a living doing it, trying to do that. But then it also it just brought up that childhood dream of mine of watching movies with my dad when I was 6 or 7 and into my teens, watching all these older movies and just like, oh man, I wish I could make something like this. I want to be a part of this. So I think it started at a very young age that I realized that I knew that's what I wanted to do. It just took a while to get there.
If you could go back to your younger self, what advice would it be and why?
I think my advice would be to not take so long to like go ahead and just take the chance, get out there and do it because as you get older, you realize like there's only so much time you have to do what you love to do or want to at least try it. You're always going to have those regrets if you don't try it. And fortunately enough, I went ahead and was able to take that leap and do it, and it worked out for me. But if I'd have done it sooner, then I would be, further down the line, obviously, with my career. Um, I think that's my biggest advice is just do it sooner, get out there and try it because you can always find another job. Let's say you quit your job and want to try this, there's always other jobs you can find, but you're never going to get the opportunity to try to do what you love if you don't do it.
Yeah, you said it absolutely. Go for it, give it a try. We all live once, and we don't want to wait till it's too late in our age and realizing, wow, I should have done this. And then
Exactly.
so just do it now, and because we would never know the opportunity we get, who we meet, the people we meet
Exactly.
through Instagram. I'll be honest with you. I've thankfully, you and I know we got connected to Miss Ronnie Hamo. Shout out to her. She's amazing. I love her, and that's what it talks about. That's what I talk about. It's connection, the people we meet through social
For
media,
sure.
through the network of entertainment industry, the people we run into, because you never know that path is gonna lead us. So
Oh, for
that
sure.
I agree with you. You don't wait. Don't sit and wait.
Yeah.
Just go.
And the networking aspect is so huge because that's how I grew my business and how Tame Rabbit's growing so quickly because every time we're on set, we're working with actors, obviously, but we're working with other crew, we're working with producers, and you don't realize how many of the actors are actually producers, directors themselves that are wanting to build their own projects and do their own thing. And when they see us work and they meet us and we're networking, it never fails that every set we're on, we have at least two or three people reach out to us after or get our contact info, and they're like, "Hey, we want you to produce our film. We want you to film my film." And I've had several people tell me, like, I've worked with so many DPs and crews, but when I met you guys, I knew you were the ones that I wanted to film my project. So it's just getting out there and meeting these people because they
Hmm.
would never know you existed otherwise.
That's absolutely amazing. Yeah, and
Yeah,
congratulations to everything you've done. You
I
did.
appreciate it.
I saw all of it. Pickleball, for
Oh
example.
yeah, pickleball just came out recently.
So
Yeah,
congratulations on pickleball and many
thank you.
other projects you've done. Um, if you could do a film, um, action, horror, or classic or any film that you could make, what film would it be?
Think if I could only pick one and it was like my, biggest choice I had to make, I think I would have to pick something along the lines of a psychological thriller. So
Hmm.
not a horror, but more of a psychological. It takes you through all these twists and turns, like think of Inception or Shutter Island or something like those, or The Sixth Sense, where it's not so much a horror, but there is horror elements, but it's more suspenseful and like it plays with your mind and you don't know what's happening next. And to me, those are my favorite type of movies to really get into.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I like those type of movies because it's like it's a horror, but it makes you think. It's like, oh, is this
It
about to
makes you
happen?
think.
Or don't do
Yeah,
that. You don't go in that room. You're about to, it's very
exactly.
interesting. Like it scares you, but not to the point where like, oh my gosh, I'll never see this movie again. So
Exactly.
that
Yeah, the
is,
biggest thing is it makes you think. So you're not only just watching something, you're actually almost involved. You're getting in there with the
hmm.
characters and second guessing every move they make and who's the killer, who did this, why did they do it? And then as a filmmaker, I'm giving the audience clues that lead them down the wrong path intentionally so that they think, oh, so and so did it. But then really we turn around and reveal the twist that no, it was actually him. Or then we do a double twist and no, it wasn't them at all. It was the person you thought least expected
Right.
it. So
It's so true.
yeah.
What kind of story would you tell that you have not had the opportunity to tell?
Um, I would say probably I like, besides psychological thrillers, I like true to life stories based on true stories. To me, that is, I love like the history element of it and the fact that it actually happened or that, this was a real human thing that happened. So to me, I would want to film something that hasn't been told yet as far as a true story that is a significant thing in, in the history of passing that along to our future generations, something that could be important for them to learn or to know the history of. So some type of a documentary or a based on a true story
Hmm.
movie, even that is really sticks to that truth, though, instead of like veering off from the truth too much. And I'm actually involved in one of those. We shot a what's called a proof of concept for recently, and it's for a guy that I work with a lot now, and he's telling his story when he was a kid growing up and through the juvenile system and everything. So it's really good, and we're working on getting the funding for that to shoot that feature. So something along those lines would be
Amazing.
my
I
second.
researched that, but I didn't want to say that because I was waiting for you to say it because I knew it's
Sure.
not released yet. So
Yeah,
that's why I
because
didn't say anything.
Ronnie
Sorry.
was involved with that one, and I'll go ahead and say his name to give him a little shout out. Is J.D. Leach is the author of the
Hmm.
book. He wrote a book about his life story as a kid going through the juvenile system, and reached out to me and to film his proof of concept to direct and
And you
DP
said
it for
JD,
him.
right?
JD.
Yeah,
Have
I
you
interviewed
interviewed
him. He
him?
was on
Okay,
my
good.
show.
I figured so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm so proud of him. Shout out to
yeah.
JD.
He's awesome.
His book is amazing. And um, testimonies. That's what we need stories. We need
Yeah.
storytelling. That's what storytelling, true story or not.
And
Um,
a shout out to him for it takes a lot of courage to step
yes,
out
and
there and
then
tell
Miss
your
Rodney.
story like that.
Yeah, Miss
Yeah.
Rodney. So
Hmm.
I didn't even mention it because it wasn't out yet, but thank you for mentioning that. I do apologize
Yeah.
about that. So, in being in this entertainment industry, I'll bring this up, and I know you're not an actor, but I'll just bring it up anyways. You have to have a thick skin, and to be a cinematographer and being a filmmaker in that aspect, what does it mean to have a thick skin being in an industry to be a filmmaker and a cinematographer?
I think the biggest thing is to not let things get personal for you because anytime you're
Hmm.
on set, I'm working with directors. I work with a lot of newer directors too that need help. And so they lean on me to make decisions for them or to help them pick the right shots. But if I'm working with somebody like, say, Larry Guterman, that's at that level, that's above the level I'm at, and I'm trying to learn and soak everything up like a sponge with when I'm working with him, you can't take offense to anything he says that he says no to. Like if you have an idea and he says no, don't take it personally because he just has a vision that he wants to do and you just have to go along with that. So I think on that side of it, the thick skin means don't take things personally. Now, if somebody's treating you bad and like cussing at you and all that, of course, then you need to say something. But we teach that a lot in our workshops about, standing up for your rights and safety and all of that. But if they're being polite about it and they're just like, no, I got another idea, you can't take offense to that. And it's their project, they're the director. You have to support their vision and help make it come true and come to life. So I think that is the biggest thing as far as having a thick skin about, separate your personal feelings from your job
Yes, I totally agree with you. Thank you for sharing all that.
for sure.
Where can people find you on Instagram or social media?
I am, yeah, I'm at Paul Michael Photo on Instagram, and then also at Tame Rabbit. I think it's under Tame Rabbit Media, or just search Tame Rabbit. You'll find us there. Same thing on Facebook. Tame Rabbit and Paul Michael Photography are the two places you can find me.
Well, Paul, I don't want to keep much of your time because I know you have somewhere to be, but again, I do appreciate you coming on. Thank you for supporting me, and I say supporting me. No, it's really supporting you, both of us. I know that didn't make sense. Sorry, but
No, it's great
um,
because we both can share our fan or our followers and get the word out about you, get the word out more about me.
yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
and that's
definitely
that's
mutual
that's what I love about Instagram, and it's about connection and supporting each other and following each other. And it doesn't matter what state we live in, we're supporting every filmmaker, cinematographer in every state, directors and writers and actors out there, and we're here to support each other because we're a
for
family.
sure. Yeah. And it's a small community. Once you get into it, you realize you start seeing a
Hmm.
lot of the same people on sets, especially those of us who are working constantly. You're like, oh, I just saw you last week on a project. Like we work
Yeah.
together all the time.
And they're like, "Hey, nice to see you again. Where did I see you again?
Yep,
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah."
exactly. And then there's some you run into that it's been a while, but then you reconnect because you're like, oh, yeah, I saw
Hmm.
you 2 years ago on a project. And it's
Yeah.
cool getting to see their growth since then.
Hmm. That's so
Yeah,
true. I totally agree with you. It's amazing the people we meet and the connection. So,
for sure.
well, Paul, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. Let's stay connected, and I can't wait to have you back on.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. You have a great day and enjoy the rest of the week.
You too. Thank you.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.